second edition of Marex Maritime News Bulletin. These are the headlines on Monday, 13th of July 2020. Indian ships will henceforth be registered online, paperless, a huge respite for ship owners. Crew change costs in Indian ports hit the roof. DGS promises action. Former FILA chairman shares his views on how Indian logistics sector is gearing up to tackle the market uncertainties. And now the news in detail. Indian ship owners have for decades been subjected to cumbersome paperwork with regards to documents filed with the DG Shipping for registration of Indian ships. Henceforth, however, all Indian ships will be registered online paperless as per DG Shipping's recent order. This comes as a huge respite for Indian ship owners.
INSA has been at the forefront of inviting investment into the Indian flag. One of the first steps in that direction is the process of registration of a vessel. For far too long, however, there has been a need to upgrade the system of registration of vessels under the Indian flag. The DG Shri Amitabh Kumar has made this as one of his focus points, a kind of lakshya. We most of all are happy to see this having reached fruition. While the overall process has been revamped and does away with the need for footfalls, we draw the attention of everybody to two important changes or milestones. One, a guaranteed time frame for completion of the steps to be taken, and two, in case of acquisition of a second-hand vessel outside India, Step 5 does away with the need for the vessel to have a provisional certificate of registry to come to India. We congratulate Sri Amitabh Kumar and the entire DGS team for this effort, which will help smoothen registration of vessels under the Indian tricolor.
This is regarding the online vessel registration process which has been initiated, and completely online process has been initiated by the Directorate, where for the entire process of vessel registration, right from applying for the name, call sign, MMSI number, name approval process, right up to the issuance of permanent provisional registry, and thereafter the application for permanent registry has been streamlined and made as an online process by the Directorate. This is an extremely good initiative, we feel. We have gone through it, of course not to the final stages, but we have gone through the process, and we feel it's an extremely good initiative which will not only reduce the amount of papers, hard copies which has to be generated, but also make it more streamlined and faster and more efficient, and will help the Indian owners in a big way. We thank the Directorate for the same.
Let's take a quick look at what is happening elsewhere with the ship registering processes. Denmark, Liberia, Panama, Singapore, Greece, and many other leading registries or ship-owning nations are using digitalization to facilitate easy registration of ships. The new digital-based vessel registration system called the Expedited Registration Process, ERP, introduced by the Liberian Registry, has led to reduction of 50% in ship registration time. The Singapore Registry of Ships, functioning under the administrative control of the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore, provides a user-friendly guide on registration of ships, specifying the pre-registration procedure, types of registration, certificates issued, documentation, fees and incentives, guidance, and frequently asked questions in this regard. The Panama Ship Registry, on the other hand, will launch the Electronic Ship Registration System, ESRS, a platform that will simplify the process of ship registration, ownership titles, and mortgage registration. According to the registry, all the basic steps of the registration will be available on the platform. The new platform will combine all systems in one, and all methods of payment will be made available, whereas users will be able to calculate the costs for each operation as it proceeds. Also, the platform provides an online tracking system according to which users will track the procedures executed and alerts will be sent by email through the different stages of the registration process. The Indian Directorate General of Shipping's decision to go similarly paperless on above lines for ships registry is a welcome move which will make Indian commercial shipping better, faster, cheaper, more secure and environmentally friendly.
Soaring crew change costs in India are discouraging foreign ship owners and ship managers for carrying out this switch, even as seafarers pile up pressure to be relieved after spending time at sea much beyond their contract periods. Vessels are having to deviate from their normal routes to execute crew changes at southern Indian ports like Kochi, but reports state that opportunistic agencies are extracting a pound of flesh for their services. Agents providing crew change services were seen charging as much as $100,000 to cash in on the situation in April, when crew changes involved COVID testing, isolation and quarantine, e-permits for transportation during a strict lockdown and so forth. This amount added to bunker and insurance cost for deviating to India from the normal route could cost the ship owners another $150,000. In times of wafer-thin profit margins, such extra cost can be backbreaking. I know one ship owner who had to fork out $500,000 for a crew change in Kochi in early April, a prominent ship owner said on condition of anonymity.
The soaring crew cost, that is the topic of discussion. See, the Cochin, there is a considerable deviation has to be made, but that is the natural geographical position of the port, and ship naturally has to come to the port to facilitate the crew change or the provisions, etc. Now, when we are talking about the crew changes, it is not that we can take any crew and send it on any vessel. Usually we follow a roster system where a particular crew will join a particular vessel, he will relieve a particular person, because we have to follow the number of years he has worked in the company, then years on the rank, then total services on the type of the ship. So that restricts the choice, that how many choices we have. Sometimes we have to move the person from east to west and north to south just to find a suitable person. So that is the one thing. Secondly, during this pandemic, when everything is locked down, it is not a business as usual, because we are working under the restricted number of people, the restricted hours. So the cost of service is increasing. Secondly, the compliance that we have to do to the IMO or to the DGS during the COVID, because a person has to go, he has to do the twice COVID test, he has to compulsory in the quarantine, they have to stay. So that increases the cost. Now we must appreciate that the agency people are also taking the risk for themselves, risk for their family, and then letting the crew change take place. So we have to appreciate their work also. The cost of bunkers, cost of fuel, or the P&I insurance, etc. So for that, the government, I appeal from the government that they should give the reduction in the duty-free bunkers and duty-free stores, and also no charges in the port. The charges should be reduced so that the overall cost come down. Now there are some people, they want to take advantage of the situation and manipulate in their favor. For them, I cannot say anything, because it is the individual choice, and I have nothing to say for those people. Thank you.
I would like to thank all seafarers who are continuing on board in spite of the completion of their contract. Further, I would also like to thank all the authorities who are helping us in carrying out these crew changes. Some ship owners have also tried to bring their ships to Indian ports such as Cochin. However, the cost is very prohibitive over there. To make this operation successful and relieve our Indian seafarers on Indian coast, it is imperative that we reduce the cost. All authorities involved in this must rethink and revalue and try to help in reducing the cost. We might also lose our slots to some other nationalities if the ship owners decide to take the vessel to some other country and start using that country's seafarers. This is a very big blow for us if it happens.
Meanwhile, the Director General of Shipping, Mr. Amitabh Kumar, has said that going forward, reducing the cost of crew change will be his utmost priority. He added, however, that by and large, the policy of testing and quarantine will remain in force even if the lockdown is lifted in India. In an interaction with Marex, Mr. Amitabh Kumar said, "We would not like any ship to get infected. Similarly, we would not like any ship to infect any port." The Indian government is considering framing a National Logistic Law Efficiency and Advanced Predictability Act to streamline the logistic ecosystem in the country. This law will replace the existing Multimodal Transportation of Goods Act. Logistic cost in India is particularly high and has been a pain point for the industry for the longest time, impacting the competitiveness of domestic goods in the international market. The government aims to reduce the logistic cost, which is presently 14% of GDP, to less than 10%.
The multimodal transportation involves using more than one mode of transportation. The first leg essentially being rail or road, which then gets switched to sea or inland waterways. The biggest challenge the multimodal transport operators are facing is the documentation required to do the switch and cost associated with the same. To promote multimodal transport, the Department of Logistics under the aegis of Ministry of Commerce will have to go into the details of streamlining this documentation, digitalize the entire process, and find ways of bringing down the cost. The domestic multimodal transport has a great potential to grow through containerization. India has a great rail network, but what we are missing is the scheduled movement of goods and goods trains. Further, the goods sheds needs to be infrastructurally upgraded to container freight standard mode. Once the good trains loaded with containers start following timetables like the passenger trains, the shippers will be encouraged to use the rail mode, which can then be connected to the water mode, and thus we can have a seamless time-bound multimodal transportation achieved.
These are indeed uncertain times for the logistics sector in general and for the shipping lines in particular. In view of the extended lockdown, the shipping lines have gone out of the way to offer assistance to the trade as far as possible. This includes offering extended free time on container detention in line with the advisory issued by the DG's office. Negligible exports have been another issue that the lines have had to face. As a result of this, the ships had to discharge cargo and sail out practically empty. Despite this, the service levels continued. However, several sailings had to be blank. Thankfully, the exports have started to improve, which is good in fact for the country as well. Shortage of trailer drivers has been another issue. However, this challenge too has been partially met by diverting more cargo over rail. However, a lot still needs to be done as far as some of the other issues are concerned. Vessel-related charges, for instance, at Indian ports continue to be higher than those at neighboring ports. India needs to do something about this if it needs to divert more business at Indian ports. Cabotage relaxation too needs to continue. India needs to compete more effectively with the neighboring transshipment ports, and if that has to be done, cabotage relaxation needs to continue. If not, the country risks losing over 1 million TEUs of transshipment cargo that currently moves over Indian ports. Digitalization. This is extremely important, particularly in today's scenario when manual intervention has to be minimized. This would also improve efficiency levels and create transparency across the value chain.
and Logistics, the French group CMA CGM, is reinforcing its procedures for shipping protected species, the trade in which is regulated by the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora (CITES). As part of these tighter procedures, shippers must expressly state whether a species is covered by the CITES Convention and where appropriate, provide the requisite export permit whenever any animal or plant goods are carried. In parallel, the CMA CGM group will draw up a blacklist of exporters suspected to be involved in illicit trafficking. We regret to inform that Captain Anthony John Oliveira passed away on his birthday, the 4th of July, of natural causes. A Delphine cadet of the 1965-67 batch, sailing was one of his best memories, and he always held his batchmates, officers and crew dear to his heart. He is survived by his wife, 3 children and 2 grandchildren. May his soul rest in eternal peace. We have lost a dear fellow seafarer, Captain Kumar Kriplani, on 7th of July 2020. He was 75 years old. Captain Kriplani suffered a stroke 6 weeks back. He sailed with Volume and worked with DBC and Transworld and taught at Masa Maritime Academy, where he was a great support to his team and much loved by his students. We pray that God grant his wife and daughter and their loved ones ample strength to bear their irreparable loss. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you for watching this news bulletin. See you all next Monday.